Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for being here as always. Today we've got another Cardano focused show. I know a lot of people in my audience love Cardano. Specifically though, we're going to be talking about MuesliSwap. So we have Nicholas and Chris from the project to give their perspective on building in this space, building in the DEX space. It's going to be a great conversation. So Chris, do you want to go ahead and start and give an introduction to yourself and how you got in the space?
Yeah. So, hi everybody. My name is Chris. I'm one of the co-founders together with Matt, who is not here today, from MuesliSwap. And MuesliSwap is basically the first DEX on Cardano. And how I got into crypto. So, a few years ago, I started investing a bit into Bitcoin and also into Cardano. And last year, when the NFT hype started in Cardano, I had like another friend pinging me, let's do an NFT project together. And that's basically how I started in the Cardano space. And then together with Matt, we actually looked a bit closer at Cardano, and then we realized there's no DEX yet, and not even smart contract functionality. So back then we decided, yeah, maybe we should also give it a try and build a DEX. And that's how I got into building in Cardano. And from my educational background, I'm a computer scientist.
Awesome. That was a great, concise intro. Appreciate that, Chris. Nicholas, what about you? How did you get into this area? What's your role at MuesliSwap?
Well, Chris and me have been close friends since our time at college, and well, I was never really close to crypto. I heard about it, of course, and I knew about the concepts, and I was always like, oh, this is so interesting, but there are some energy efficiency questions and all that. And then Chris approached me and was like, okay, hey, there's this cool new chain, and it's like way more efficient, and there's all these problematic stuff figured out, kind of. At least they are trying to. And I looked at it and said, wow, this looks cool. Let's enrich this space and let's give it a try. And yeah, I mean, this tech stuff, there is none yet except for us.
Yeah.
So it was a great opportunity to give it a try and start building something.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I would first love to get your perspective, and I think a lot of people are curious about this because you hear the same common criticisms laying towards the Cardano ecosystem, right? Nothing's really built here. Maybe developers don't want to build here. So I would love to get your perspective. Maybe Chris, you can start on this. How has it been building on Cardano?
So actually, it's a very interesting thing, because if you come from Ethereum, you know this account-based model, and the underlying blockchain actually works a bit different. So in Cardano, you have these extended UTXO model, is it called? So the entire blockchain structure is a bit different. So also the underlying concepts are different and what you can actually build on it. So what MuesliSwap is compared to what you see in other DEXs like Uniswap is that we are based on the order book model. Which maybe if you think of Ethereum, you have Uniswap, where you basically have this people providing liquidity, and you go in and swap towards this liquidity pool. And what we have at MuesliSwap is that people place orders, and then you can see in the order book what people do want to sell at what price, and at what price they want to buy, and so on. And if there are any like open matches, then they get matched. So compared to just a automated market maker, in the sense people can place limit orders on our DEX, meaning they can go to sleep and maybe wake up in the next morning and then their order got filled in the meantime.
So model's kind of what a centralized exchange might feel like.
Yeah. I mean, so what should I say? What the model we are using more feels a little bit more like what you are known from centralized exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange, compared to what you know from Uniswap. And when we started building, in the beginning, people were like really they were criticizing us for it, because they said, I want to have an automated market maker. I want to be liquidity provider. But now more and more people actually appreciate the model we are using. And we also still see this critic. So now we want to move into a kind of a hybrid model, but that's something I guess we will discuss later in more detail. What's coming up later.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And then Nicholas, also, from your perspective, having worked on this project, obviously working closely on what's a pretty small team to build this, and being the first functional DEX order book exchange in Cardano, what are some of the things that you had to contend with from a technology perspective, because obviously Cardano is still working to deliver a lot of the nice to have features that go along with building things.
What I found interesting, like as you have this new model, the UTXO model, you kind of first have to wrap your head around it and understand all the small pitfalls that might come with it. But in the end, you are able to, if you really wrap your head around it completely, then you are able to derive some very elegant solutions, and that's what all of the engineers at Cardano are aiming for. I think, which takes time, but I think gives some really nice and clean solutions. And the thing is that a lot of features are already there. It's just you need to look very hard at the thing and figure out, oh, now wait, if I do it like this, then it works out really nicely. Like, for example, the exchange, if you try to pressure an automated market maker onto the Cardano system, which you take from a completely different blockchain, it will just take a while, as we have seen and we are still seeing. But if you are trying a different approach and use the order book model that Chris shortly described, then you see that, well, maybe the different approach just works a lot better, and this Cardano just gives it a whole new space of opportunities for builders to go into it. And I think maybe we need some more open-mindedness there from the developer side as well. Like, we cannot just port stuff, but we can try this, and we should also try new stuff and play around with a new model, because there's so much we can do with it.
Yeah, anecdotally, looking back to the early days of Ethereum, which was my background, it was similar to this in the sense that there was this language solidity and there's this blockchain that's account based, because everyone was used to Bitcoin before. This is this new model and everyone's trying to figure it out. And a lot of the things that were built early on were cool, but there were flaws, and it took some time to eke out the best practices. And then you started getting that flywheel of composability where people started figuring out what you could do with it. I think the same thing is going to happen with Cardano, because it's such a different beast.
Yeah,
definitely. So Chris, the other thing I wanted to ask you really quickly, from your perspective, looking at what is next for Cardano, like looking at some of the features and things that are coming, what are some of the areas from a development perspective, or as someone who has a product in this space, that you're looking forward to the most in the Cardano space in terms of tech?
So I think what will be the next big thing is scalability. So yeah. I think from the beginning on, when Cardano has been built, it was always security first. And then they started introducing the smart contract functionality. And now with more and more dApps coming to the chain, you will probably see that the blockchain will be more and more utilized. So what needs to happen next is scalability. And I think IOHK, so the developers Cardano, they're really like putting a lot of effort into like trying to tweak the network parameters in such a way that they can get the best out of it. So I think the next big thing will really be scalability, because as more of these dApps kind of start to come to the chain, then there will be more demand, and then Cardano needs to scale with it. So this will be the next big challenge of 2022, I would say.
And do you think that the Catalyst program around like incubating projects and tooling, do you think there's enough focus on maybe developer related proposals there, or do you think the community should be putting more weight towards those to make the quality of life better for developers?
So maybe what IOHK or Cardano is trying to do is they have this Plutus Pioneer program. So they're really trying to educate people to learn the Cardano model and how this developed. Because as you said, when you went back to Ethereum, you had Solidity. And now for people to actually write Bluetooth, they need to know Haskell. And I think a lot of the web developers and so on, they struggle a little bit with getting into Haskell. So this is one of the challenges that Cardano is facing. And then another challenge is definitely documentation, where they need to improve a bit, in my opinion. So like really properly like document people, this is the best practice, that's how you should code it, and so on. And as we as like one of the first dApps, we also have a lot of effort in trying to educate people how to use dApp wallets, how to set up this, how to do this, and so on, and all these things. Because I mean, from Ethereum, you're used to MetaMask, but it doesn't work on Cardano, so you have new wallets again, and just educating users and showing them how to do it and so on. It's like a very big task that's ahead of Cardano, I would say.
Yeah, I would totally attest to your statement about Haskell, coming from a background that was very much not in that realm. And honestly, in many ways, if you're not coming from a background of functional programming, adjusting syntactically and strategically, like how you go about problems is different. And then if there's not really robust documentation and folks like yourself who've been out there building things, pushing the sort of best practices and standards, it's tough. So that's going to come with time. So in terms of MuesliSwap, you have a product out there, you have a DEX that people are using. I think people are starting to warm up to the order book model. And, you know, obviously there are automated market maker or AMM model DEXs that are coming. So there'll be a nice ecosystem of options for people to use. What's next for MuesliSwap from here? Nik, do you want to take it first? And Chris, you can add on.
So, I mean, first steps are to improve our existing order book. So you might have noticed that it's only possible to match on equally sized orders. And we are working really hard on removing that restriction. And that will increase the liquidity. As also, you can think of maybe some automated liquidity provisioning or bots that provide additional orders in the order book, so that people have it easier to trade with our DEX. And these bots can even interact with automated market makers. So in the end, you would have really nice interaction even with other DApps maybe, that under the hood the users wouldn't even notice. So in the end, you have some really nice regulating markets there. And this is all to the benefit of the users. So we are like, yeah, of course, we are looking a lot into these things. And then we also want to improve the experience on our website. I mean, you might want to, you have heard about the staking and launchpad features that we have announced before, and all these interactions with our website. Of course, maybe a UI overhaul, and dark mode has been one of the most requested features. So these sometimes things that we didn't think about as developers when we built the app at first, but then people get really interested in them and request them, and that makes us happy that people are using our platform and suggesting even improvements. And so yeah, we are kind of having our own ideas and getting input from the community, which is a very great experience.
Yeah, users are some of the best ways to collect features for the backlog, without a doubt. Chris, anything that you wanted to add to sort of the future state of MuesliSwap and what's coming down the pike for people who are following you?
So actually, one of the biggest things that will come will be the upgrade at the end of the month. So we are looking into deploying a new version of our smart contracts called MuesliSwap v2. Currently, we are undergoing an audit with one of our partners for it. So they're really looking at the code, seeing that funds are secure, understanding if we really meet all the requirements that we like set ourselves. And once this is done, we're trying to deploy our new version of smart contracts that will bring these features like Nik mentioned before, like these partial matching and all these things. And another thing that we will see coming in will be infrastructure for external market makers. So as we said before, these automated market makers, they're basically one way to bring liquidity to your protocol. But we are also exploring like partnerships with maybe some other people also providing liquidity maybe to the real stock market and so on, and also getting them into the decentralized finance space. So that's one of our big challenges ahead. And the other thing is that we want to include more community members into building products around our DEX. So we already see a lot of people building Discord price bots, including the price feed in their website and some kind of arbitrage tools where people can see whether it's maybe on a centralized exchange, the prices are cheaper and so on. And yeah, we want to have more people coming in and trying to build things around our DEX so that there's like a thriving ecosystem for itself. That's one of our main goals for the future.
Got it. Are you going to do like community grants or, like programs like that to help people catalyze those projects?
So I think the biggest thing we will be looking at is actually documentation into how all our APIs work and so on. So we will be able to provide people with endpoints, how to use our products. And then I think at the moment, at least, the economic incentive of building a market maker or matchmaker or whatever around our protocol is already big enough, at least what I've heard back from people. Yeah. So at the moment, not in the future, maybe.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, that makes sense. I figured I'd ask anyways. You never know.
Yeah.
And then, and then, the other thing is you were talking sort of about the performance and the fact that right now when you need sort of symmetric orders like buy and sell. Now with V2, you have the ability to sort of deal with partial fill. What type of performance, like what's the magnitude of that upgrade from an end user perspective? Like what can people expect from that? Do you have any like benchmarking done on that?
Yeah, so we expect at least the liquidity flow to be much better. The benchmarking itself, we expect the same kind of throughput we have right now. The problem is always
the performance is basically instant. Like as soon as you have a matching order, the next block on Cardano, you will get your resulting tokens. And the benefit of the partial matching is, of course, that someone can put in large amounts of tokens at a fixed price, which basically, well, increases liquidity by a lot. And you don't have to put in small orders of any size, but you can pick away from these large orders small amounts. And if you want to buy in small, that's fine. If you want to buy a large amount, that's also fine. And I think that will be just a great addition to performance in the sense of you look at our website, you see there's something and you can just pick away.
Yeah, rather than having to wait for, maybe you've put in a buy and there's no liquidity there for you to buy from here.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So the last thing I wanted to ask is, for someone who's in the community that hasn't tried MuesliSwap yet or that wants to learn more about it, where can they best connect with you and sort of ask questions? It's very important, but also where can they find you on, socials and things like that?
So we have so our community is growing daily. We've not speak numbers yet, but we see like a big influx in users coming to Discord and into our Telegram channels. And then there we have some moderators trying to help people and to guide through the process. And also we have a lot of people actually reaching out by email and Twitter and asking us for help and so on. And then there's also documentation on how to get started. But we are also currently working on maybe to get the video series out for people to actually show how to use it. As I said, there is a lot of education to be done in general for the Cardano DEX to start. So I guess the best thing is to just join our Discord or channel or Telegram and start asking questions, and we are happy to answer.
Perfect. Yeah, I can leave links to those in the description for people that want to check those out, as well as the existing social channels and documentation pages that are out there for people to check out. And of course, I would encourage you to use MuesliSwap if you're already in the Cardano space. You're looking to get your feet wet in the early days of DeFi in Cardano. So most of all, I want to thank you, Chris, and you, Nicholas, for joining me on the show to talk about MuesliSwap. We'll definitely have to have another follow-up to this when V2 launches, to maybe we can do like a live, well, semi-live sort of walkthrough of how to use some of these features and check it out.
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, as a side note, for those that cannot pronounce MuesliSwap, we have heard this as a lot of criticism from users as well. Also not easily imaginable for German speakers as we are. You can also try hoskyswap.com. Some anonymous beneficiary has set up that domain for us, and you will get directed directly to ada.muesliswap.com. So that's an easy to remember bookmark.
Yeah, much easier than the obscure serial grant.
Yeah, we are from Switzerland, so when we started, but yeah, that's a nice name, and now we get more and more feedback. Why did you choose this name? I don't know how to write it, and so on. So
yeah. We have also these users reporting that they are very confident, and then they have this satisfying feeling when their autocorrection finally picks up Muesli as a word.
Yep, that's validation right there.
Yeah,
validation. But yes, the call to action stands. I will leave both of those links in the description below. I want to thank everyone who's watching for watching this episode and the rest of the shows on the channel. And until next time, cheers.